Hello, this is Mr. Boughton. I would like to go through the Unit 1 test practice with you all before the test, and if you'd like to watch this video, you can see me work out some of these problems, and I'll spend a little bit more time on some problems than on other problems because of the limited time that I have for this video. In Lesson 4 or Lesson 5 folder, or both, you'll find your Unit 1 test practice. It was due September 11th. And I'm going to walk through it here with you and work some of these problems out. And so here I am previewing these. These are all the problems. I think what I'm going to do is move to another platform here. Okay, and here's the answers to the test study guide. You have this available to you in your folder so that you can take a look at these. So for number 1 right here, I will work this one out for you guys just to walk through the process of division here. The first number, of course, is our dividend. See, we will put that in our house right there, in our vinculum. And this is our divisor. We need the divisor to be a whole number, the divisor, remember that. So we're going to move this by multiplying by 100 and also move this by multiplying by 100. We have to move both of these. So we have to place our 0. We'll put our decimal straight up here into our answer, and then we won't have to worry about our decimal anymore. Now we're just dividing by 2. In fact, on my smartboard right here, I can just erase this part, and you can rewrite the math problem also to make it a little bit easier to see what the math problem is. So now it's 1,250 divided by 2, and we walk through the process right here. There's 6, 6 times 2, and the process of multiplying. We subtract and then bring down the next digit. Remember, every time we bring down a digit, then we go through the division process, and sometimes 0 is the answer, but not this case. This time it's 5 divided by 2 is 2, and 2 times 2 is 4, and then 1 is left over. We bring down the 0 to make our final answer here. There's nothing left over, so there's no fraction, no decimal. 625 is the answer to that. A lot of people are still getting a little bit confused with that decimal, moving the decimal. So this was our original problem here with the decimal between the 2 and the 5. We want this number to be a whole number, so we have to move that decimal to the end. And we're really doing a math problem. We are multiplying, every time we multiply by 10, we move the decimal over. So in this case, we are multiplying by 100, which is 10 times 10. And moving it over twice. So here we also move it over twice in the same direction and place our decimal in our answer here. So let me show you the answers to these 3 problems here, 4 problems actually. Here they are. And I'll work out number 4 as well. So number 5, notice how we moved the decimal. Same thing right here, right? We had to move the decimal in the divisor, 1 jump, and then we also did that in this case, 1 jump, and then we walked through that division process. And let's see here, same thing. We had to move this 1 jump over here, walk through the division process. In number 4, let's do number 4 together. That's so 7 divided by 3, right? 7 divided by 3. So 3 goes into 7 2 times, which is 6, and 1 is left over. So 1/3. The 1 is our remainder, and the 3 is the divisor, what we're dividing by. So 2 and 1/3. All right. Number 5 here, 29 divided by 8. It's the same idea that we just did. Same thing with number 6, is simply dividing some whole numbers and then writing your leftovers, your remainders, as a fraction. So the remainder is the, here we go. The remainder is your numerator. So in this case, 8 goes into 29 3 times with 5 left over. And so 5 is our numerator. And 5 goes into 32 6 whole times. That's our 6. That's the whole number. And then 2 is left over, and that is the numerator for the fraction. The denominator is the number we're dividing by. It's 5. It's our divisor. And let's see what's down here. Nothing. Okay, next. Number 7, next page. So in this case, The average baby whale grows at a certain rate every day, and then how many days does it take for the whale to grow a total? So this number that we see here is a total number, and we know that each day the whale grows that much. So it's asking you what type of operation would we use to do this. Since we know the total amount and we're asking how many days or how many groups of 1.5 are in that total, then we would be using a division problem. So we're finding how many groups of 1.5 are in a total of 47.075. So that is, let me see what I wrote here. Yeah, same thing. So this is what you would see on your document with all the answers. We know the total, we're splitting it up into days. And then so the actual work of that, I'll work that out for you right here. Let me get rid of these, for that. So the problem is 47.075. This is going to take a little space, but I'm going to do it anyway. So here we are moving the decimal. We want this number here, the divisor, to be whole number. So one jump, and then decimal up in our answer. And we go through the division process. I'm going to just clean it up because I have a smart board. I could do that right there. And let's go ahead and divide then by 15. So my first problem is 47 divided by 15. That's 3. 3 times 15 is 45. Now, if you don't know that, of course, you don't have the 15s memorized. You can just go off to the side, and if it's a small number, you can count by 15s, or you can just kind of guess a number and say, I'm going to guess 2 or 3 or 4, and see how close you can get to 47 without going over. All right, so here we see 3 groups. So pull down the 0. Now we have 20. So there's the process of division. 20 divided by 15 is 1 time. It goes right above the 0. Make sure you're lining things up just perfectly there. So 15, we subtract next digit, 57. So how many 57 or 15s are in 57? And I would say 3 again, 45. My phone, somebody gave me a text. Oh. 45, and then we can subtract that. 12 is left over. That's good because we don't have any more groups of 15 in there. So it's kind of like we're checking our answers as we go along. And so here is 125. How many groups of 15 are in 125? Well, we can guess a number, and I would suggest, like when you are doing this, instead of counting up over and over 15s, just guess a number. Think, okay, I'm going to try 15 times 9. You know, it's pretty close up there, so you can multiply this and say, oh, that's 135. That's too high. So let me guess 15 times 8. And just instead of multiplying, you can just subtract a group of 15 away from, I know 9 groups of 15 is 135. So just subtract a group of 15, and that's 15 times 8. So I know 15 times 8 is very close to 125, and it doesn't go over. So I can use that number and get 5 left over. And we could keep dividing, but we need to round to the nearest hundredth. We need to go one more space. If we round to the 100th place, we need to go past the 100th place when we divide. So 50 divided by 15 is 3, and that's 45. Okay, so that's where we can stop and look at our number and round it. We're going to stop it here because this is the 100th place. So 31.38 is our rounded answer, and so we would choose B right there for our answer. Okay, here we have another division problem. So when we divide 1,221 divided by 32, and I know it's division because, like they say, split the kids up evenly. That's division right there. That's what it means to divide, is to split up evenly. So, as we go through this division process, I'm going to kind of move through a little bit quickly. 122 divided by 32 is going to be 3 right here. Let me pen going, 3, which is going to be 96. And then subtract and kind of go through the whole process here of subtraction. And 26, pull down the 1, and then 32 goes into 261, I would say 8 times. And here again, you would kind of guess and go off to the side and multiply and see how close can you get to 261. Okay, so then that's 256, and there are 5. That's a remainder of 5. Now notice I didn't need a decimal answer. I don't need a fraction answer because the question is kids. And this math problem is dealing with kids. And so this answer is kids. So we don't want a fraction of a kid or a decimal of a kid in this case. We want to know how many are left over. 5 are left over. So that's our answer right there. 5 kids are left over. And then 38 is actually what our next answer is for number 10. It says how many kids are on each team. There are 38 kids on each team with 5 left over. So in the reality, we would just put those 5 kids on any team right there. Here, this is, if we know this is how many tons per hour. Whoa, come on now. How many tons per hour, and this is how many hours, we would multiply 42.5 times 12.5. Right, let's do this. 25, that's 10 plus 2 is 12, and that's 20 plus 1 is 21. And all right, so now I have to put a 0 here because I'm multiplying by this 2 right there. I'm multiplying by this, so my answer has to begin underneath that 2. So 2 times 5 is 10. That's my 0 here. And carry a 1, that's going to be 5. And then 8. Remember, those aren't there. That's not there, and that's not there. Now I'm multiplying by this 1. And I need my answer to begin underneath that 1. So I have to have 2 zeros to hold those place values. Now I can multiply by the 1. 1 times 5, and 1 times 2, and 1 times 4. So add each of these rows, columns up rather. Notice I haven't put the decimal anywhere, haven't messed with that. Okay, now we need the decimal. And so I notice there are 2 decimal places in our problem here. So 2 decimal places will make 531.25. And it looks like we've got D as our answer right there. All right, I'm going to kind of walk through these a little bit quickly here. The bananas, you're going to have to multiply 3.5 times 0.51. So I'll show you how my answers for that. So multiply those, make sure the decimal goes in the correct spot. I went ahead and just kept it all the way. I didn't round them to the penny until I finished my math problem. So if you did, that's fine. I'd count it correct. So multiplying the pounds times the cost, and so $7.14 is your answer there. And if you need to, pause right here, pause the video, and then work that out again. Komodo dragon. This is an interesting question. Look at what is asked. How many times larger? You will see a question that asks how many times larger. So you are not subtracting these, you're dividing them because you want to know what is it you times by. So you would need to divide these. So this is kind of a big division problem with some big numbers, but it doesn't take very long to walk through right here. So you end up with 4. You just kind of round to the nearest whole number and get 4. Okay, in our question number 14, how many 2/5 are in 3? So the question is 3 divided by 2/5. That's how many groups of 2/5 are in 3. So that would be C right there. Number 15, you know the length and the width, so you would have to, didn't want to do that. You'd have to, come on now. Pull that out there. Here is our multiplication problem right here. Make sure you've got improper fractions, everything has to be fractions, and then you multiply and simplify. Or in this case, you can see I simplified first, the 4 and the 18,